Looking for some books to help your children with their anxiety and worries, and also to help them think a little bit about friendships and how they can help? I've got some book recommendations for you. Hello again, welcome to Growing Together. My name's Mel. Today I've got 3 books that I want to share with you. These books are really great for helping your children think about when they have some problems or some issues and how they might process those, and also thinking about friendship and how friendship can help us to process our feelings. So let's start. The first one I want to show you is this really cute book. You can't actually tell what it's called, but it's called Penguin Problems. I just think this is an adorable book. It's from the point of view of this little penguin who has a lot of problems. So it's from the penguin's perspective. We start out with, it's way too early. My beak is cold. I think the illustrations of this are just gorgeous. And the fact that they are very simplistic in a lot of ways really adds to the focus of it. And you can really get a sense of how this penguin is feeling. I was first introduced to this book by a friend of mine and her daughter. My friend Mel would put on the whingy, annoyed penguin voice, and her daughter just absolutely thought it was hilarious, and it really made me realize how much fun this book could be, so I had to go and buy it. The penguin just really has so many problems. It snowed more last night, it's too bright, he's not buoyant enough, he doesn't sink when he tries to go swimming and fishing, he's being hunted by so many different creatures, and it's really hard for him to find his own food. This is one of my favorite pages, and most of the children who I read this story to love this one as well. I just think it's really funny the way you've got all the different creatures chasing and hunting each other. I waddle too much. I look silly when I waddle. See? He even talks about the fact that they all look the same. And I just think it's adorable. So this penguin goes along and tells you all his problems and all his complaints. And then along comes a walrus. Now the walrus doesn't really try to help the penguin or listen to the penguin. The walrus gives this whole 1-page speech all about how it's not really as bad as you think, and look around and see all the things that are actually really great, and honestly, you wouldn't want to trade your life in for any other. And he kind of gives this very pompous speech to the penguin, and the penguin's first response is just to go, "Who on earth was that guy?" But then he thinks about it a little bit and he realizes that maybe there are some things around that he really likes. The ocean, the sky, friends and family. But still, at the end, my beak is cold. It gets dark way too early. So the reason why I love this book and think that it's a really great book to read to children to help them to think about their own issues and problems is that, first of all, it shows that it's true, everyone does have problems. So it's true what the walrus says, that everyone has problems and that it's really hard to see inside other people's issues and problems. I think because it's a book about penguin problems, it's really helpful for the children to think about the fact that even penguins have problems. I also really like the fact that it doesn't take away from the penguin's problems. Even though the walrus tries to make the penguin feel better by pointing out that he hasn't really got that many problems at all, it really shows that that way of looking at things and that way of talking to people and children, isn't that helpful? That possibly empathizing with their problems and showing that you understand and that you care about their problems might be a bit of a better way to help them with their problems, because even though he did think about what the walrus said, at the end of the day, he just went back to his own issues. So the walrus didn't really help. And I think that's actually a really important lesson for children to learn, because I think it's important for them to know that it's actually okay to have things that are wrong. It's okay to find things hard. It's okay to be upset sometimes. Sometimes we can't help those feelings. It's more about how we look at the world and how we think about ourselves than it is about making sure we're happy all the time. So That was Penguin Problems. It's actually written by Jory John and illustrated by Lane Smith. And the next book that I want to talk to you about, I unfortunately don't own, although I do think that I might need to remedy that. And that is this book, which is called My Pet Worry. My Pet Worry is all about a child who has a pet worry. And the pet worry grows depending on how the child is feeling. So when the child is feeling happy and safe, it's quite a little animal, a little pet that is easy to care for and easy to manage. But as the child gets more upset and anxious and concerned, the bigger the worry grows and the more fierce a creature it turns into, and the less able it is to be managed. And it is, as you would guess, a metaphor for how the worry inside your children can make them respond to things and how they can act when they're worried. And it's a really great way to think about how children don't necessarily have the control over their emotions that we might want them to, or that we as adults have, and that children don't necessarily know how to really manage their worries, and that sometimes it's a little tiny issue and they can figure it out, but sometimes it's really not, and they really need that extra help to really figure it out, like you would if you had a really big animal as a pet. You'd need some help to look after that animal. So I actually think that's a really great book for children to look at and to read, and to learn to understand that it's okay to ask for help, and that it's okay when you are feeling worried and upset, and that you need to be able to look after yourself in that situation and manage yourself in that situation. So it's a really great way of starting to help children thinking about self-regulation and getting their emotions under control. So I highly recommend this one. It's a fantastic book. Definitely on my list of books I'd love to purchase. And lastly is a book that I love reading to children in all sorts of circumstances, whether it be one-on-one or in a classroom setting. It's a story all about friendship and the importance of friendship, and how friendship can help us and bolster us when we're not feeling that great, and really help us to manage our own issues and feelings, and also offer us a different way of looking at the world. And that is Pearl Barley and Charlie Parsley by Aaron Blabey. This is a really, really, really sweet, simple, but beautiful story that I highly recommend as a great book to give to children, to help them to think about friendships and how friendship is important, and how they can have some really lovely friendships, and how you don't necessarily have to have something in common with someone to really enjoy their friendship. So there's the cover. The illustrations are just beautiful. And our two friends, Pearl Barley and Charlie Parsley, are so different, but they manage to offer such wonderful things to each other. And it's just such a lovely story about lifting up your friends, looking after your friends, and what you can offer in a friendship. I highly recommend this as a fantastic book to think about and help your children think about friendship. Okay, so that is my video for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you found this interesting and valuable. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you later.